morning, church. How are we doing this morning? Okay, we're waking up. That's okay. We're doing good. That's good. Hey, it is a party week today, and that means that we celebrate and we reflect on the good things that God has been doing through our upside down lives. And I don't know about you, but I feel like June is just a month of celebrating all these good things that are going on. I mean, last week we had our family event. That was amazing. We had so many people coming out from all of our sites. It was so good to just have so much fun playing games, go swimming, eat food, worship together as one family in one place. That was so exciting. And then we had our youth event afterwards, and that was amazing. It was so good to see kids from Portage, from Nipawa, and from the Paw come together. We had an amazing night of playing games, of worshiping, praying together. It's been so much fun, and it's so worth celebrating. And you know what? The celebrations just keep coming. Next, coming up here, we have our grades 6 to 8 Midnight Madness. This is a celebration, celebrating the kids coming from grade 6 who are leaving Sunday school or kids' church and coming into junior youth. And we're celebrating and saying goodbye to our grade 8s who are moving on to senior youth next year. It's going to be a ton of fun. It is from 7 till midnight, and it's not just for the kids. Parents, you are invited too for at least part of it. You don't have to stay till midnight. Don't worry about that. But it's going to be a ton of fun. We start the event off with a massive soccer game. This is a parents versus youth soccer game, and you're not just playing for bragging rights. You're playing for a pretty sick trophy, so they're bringing it out right now. Let's see it here. This is the Golden Goose Trophy. Come on, who doesn't want to win this? And let me just say, right. Let me just say, this trophy was won by the youth at Christmas during our parents versus youth floor hockey tournament. So parents, this is on you. You got to pick this up. You got to win this. And don't worry, you don't have to take it home though. If you win it, I'll keep it. I'll take care of it. But you can win it. You get bragging rights till Christmas. So you don't want to miss out on that. So come for a soccer game and then come for supper with us. It's a youth classic, hot dogs, chips, and pop. It's going to be delicious, I swear. And then we do what my favorite part of the whole event is we come together and we brag on our youth. So all of my youth leaders are writing paragraphs, sentences, stories about your youth, how amazing they are, the way that we've seen God work in their lives, the way that we've seen God pour out of their lives, and the way that they have been growing the kingdom of God here in Portage and in their youth group. And so please do not miss that. It's going to be so much fun. Parents, after that, you get to leave. We keep the kids. We have fun until midnight. It's going to be an awesome time of celebration. Another amazing thing coming up, you guys can take the trophy. Thank you very much. Another amazing thing coming up is our summer kids camp. This is August 10th to 14th. Ethan Legaspi is back. I think this is his third year being the director of our kids camp, and he has done an amazing job in the past. So let's give him a round of applause. Yeah. He's done an amazing job in the past, and I am so excited for this year. I sit in an office with him, and the things that he is building and prepping for your kids to enjoy is out of this world. It's so cool, and so please do not forget to register. You can do that now. We want your kid there and enjoying that week of fun. Those are my 2 announcements for us this morning. So let's all stand and let's say together our party week call to worship, celebrating the good things that God is doing in our lives. Say it together. Father, we say thank you to you, the giver of every good and perfect gift. Thank you for the big and small joys in our lives. Thank you for food, music, beauty, and laughter. Thank you for your attention, your salvation, and your future. You are the source and fountain of our joy. It's to you we sing with grateful hearts.
Do you see what I see? Do you see what I see? All right, sing it out. I see lightning, I hear thunder. Something stirring. I believe there's about to be another resurrection. I see signs and I see wonders. I see birds of living color. Dead things coming back to life again. Oh, I believe there's about to be another resurrection. Come alive, wake up, sleeper. He is risen, and we are risen with him. every chain will break. His broken hearts declare his praise. Who can stop the Lord Almighty? 'Cause our God is a lion, the Lion of Judah. He's roaring with power and fighting our battles, and every knee will bow before him. And our God is the Lamb that was slain for the sins of the world, and his blood breaks the chains, and every knee will bow before the Lion and the Lamb. Yes, every knee will bow before him. So open up the gates, make way before the King of Kings. The God who comes to save is here to set the captives free. Who can stop the Lord Almighty? Our God is a lion, the Lion of Judah. He's roaring with power and fighting our battles, and every knee will bow before him. Our God is a Lamb that was slain for the sins of the world. His blood breaks the chains, and every knee will bow before the Lion and the Lamb. Yes, every knee will bow before him. So who can stop the Lord Almighty? Yes, who can stop the Lord Almighty? Who can stop the Lord Almighty? Who can stop the Lord Almighty? Oh, who can stop the Lord Almighty? Who can stop the Lord Almighty? Yeah. Who can stop the Lord Almighty? Who can stop the Lord? Sing it out. Our God is a lion, the Lion of Judah. He's roaring with power and fighting a battle. Every knee will bow before him. And our God is a Lamb, the Lamb that was slain for the sins of the world, and his blood breaks the chains, and every knee will bow before the Lion and the Lamb. Every knee will bow before him. Our God is a lion, the Lion of Judah. He's roaring with power and fighting our battles, and every knee will bow before him. Our God is a Lamb, the Lamb that was slain for the sins of the world. His blood breaks the chains, and every knee will bow before the Lion and the Lamb. Every knee will bow before him. Remember those walls that we called sin and shame? They were like prisons that we couldn't escape. But he came and he died and he rose. Those walls are rubble now. Remember those giants we called death and grave? They were like mountains that stood in our way. But he came and he died he rose. Those giants are dead now. This is our God, this is who he is. He loves us. And this is our God, this is what he does. He saves us. He bore the cross, beat the grave. Let heaven and earth proclaim, this is our God, King Jesus. Remember that fear that took our breath away. Faith so weak that we could barely pray. But he heard every word, every whisper. And now those altars in the wilderness tell the story of his faithfulness. Never once did he fail, and he never will. Oh, this is our God, this is who he is. He loves us. This is our God, this is what he does. He saves us. He bore the cross, beat the grave. Let heaven and earth proclaim, this is our God, King Jesus. Who pulled me out of that pit? He did, he did. Who paid for all of our sin? Nobody but Jesus. Who pulled me out of that pit? Yeah, he did, yes he did. Who paid for all of our sin? Nobody but Jesus. Who rescued me from that grave? Yahweh, Yahweh. Who gets the glory and praise? Nobody but Jesus. Who rescued me from that grave? Yahweh, Yahweh. Who gets the glory and praise? Nobody but him. This is our God, this is who he is. He loves us. This is our God, this is what he does. He saves us. He bore the cross, he beat the grave. Let heaven and earth proclaim, this is our God, King Jesus. Oh, he bore the cross, he beat the grave. Let heaven and earth proclaim, this is our God, King Jesus. Oh, King Jesus.
You can go ahead and have a seat. And I want to tell you a story of some of the things that are happening around us. But actually, before I do that, just thank you, kids. You guys are here today because it's a party week, and we are so glad that you are here and that you worship with us. And you teach us so much about worshiping with abandon. So thank you. Thank you, Ethan and Ethan, for leading us in the actions. And boy, if you haven't had a chance to sign your kids up yet for Kids Camp, it's going to be so great. And I'm so thankful as a mom that my kids get to learn about Jesus in this environment, in this church with you guys. Ethan doing Kids Camp and Ethan leading kids ministry. You can figure out which one's which. And today we get to talk a little bit about some of the exciting things that are happening around us and celebrate those during Party Week. And just so you know how these stories come about and how we decide what to do. So every Party Week on Tuesday, so in 2 days, the Portage pastors will sit down and have a meeting. And one of the things each of us brings to the meeting are stories of ways that we've seen God work at our church. And last month, when we were doing this and preparing for this Sunday, as we were going around the room, we noticed that there was a common theme. Everybody had stories from one particular area of our ministry. And so that's what we're going to talk about this morning. And in lots of ways, as I was reflecting on these stories that we were sharing, the story that we have for us today to celebrate is actually 40 years almost in the making, which is kind of fun. It's older than lots of us, I should say, in today. But it has to do with the biggest ministry at PAC, and that's West Park School. Now, I know a lot of the time we kind of think of West Park as its own thing, and it's many ways it really is. The budget is completely separate. The funding models look different because it's a school. But that really doesn't take away from the fact that West Park is a ministry of PAC. And because it employs more people than PAC, and because its budget is larger than PAC, it really is our biggest ministry. But it is a ministry of PAC, nonetheless. And part of that has to do with how it started. So back in 1987, in the 20th century, back in the day, there were some pastors at the church who wanted to start a school. But who they started the school with was really a group of women. And very early on, if not in that first year, then in the following few years, there were some really key people. And at the risk of missing somebody to mention, the ones that come to mind are Shannon, Mary, Jackie, Amanda, Karen, and Barb. And when the school started, there were 23 students in it. And this was the heart behind it. These women wanted to provide a school for their own kids, but also for the community, where kids would learn in an environment that loved them, that cared for them, and that pointed them to Jesus. And through the years, that's looked a little bit different as the school grew and culture shifted around us. And so our approaches had to shift as well. But regardless of the way it looked, the idea that kids could learn in an environment where they were loved and cared for and where they were pointed to Jesus never wavered. And the cool thing is that up until this school year, we've had one or more of these women on staff, walking with us as a school and reminding us of who we were, why we started, and what we are to do. They've instilled that vision for the school in our teachers, administrators, and support staff, and even in the pastors at PAC as they interact with the students and the staff. But this spring kind of marks the end of an era for us, as the last of these women of faith who have shaped this school is retiring. So it makes sense that where there's a shift like this, we look at what we are today and where we've moved from and what we've moved to. So still, the heartbeat behind the school is to provide an environment where students are loved and cared for, and they're pointed to Jesus. Today, though, there are more than 10 times the number of students that we started with back in 1987, and twice the number of grades. But the celebration stories are all still really small and really normal things that happen every day that build the understanding in our students that they're loved and cared for and pointed to Jesus. So if you were to come in and walk around the school with Corey or Kirsten or myself, that's our administrative team at West Park, here's what you would notice. I take you down the hallway where you drop your kids off, and on Monday to Friday, that becomes our occupational therapy area, where one of our EAs works with students. And her job is to help them with their gross motor skills, so that's like big movements of your body, and also to help them with regulation so they can pay attention and learn and focus in class. But if you were to oversee her as she's talking with them, you'd notice that she actually celebrates the unique ways that God's made them. And she celebrates who they are as she's helping them with these emotional regulations. If you came here on a Monday, way before school starts, when people are kind of blearily coming in and looking for the coffee machine, you'd see our EA who's here in the morning super early, and she doesn't even work on Mondays, but she's here every Monday to support and mentor the student council who wanted to start a Bible study for high school kids early in the morning, and she supports the student leader there. You'd notice if you stayed a little bit later, especially on a Tuesday, you'd notice the middle years teachers who practice after school in the music room so they can put together a worship team and lead their students in worship at chapel each week. And these are all in addition to them prepping classes. We haven't talked about education. You'd notice the music teachers who are inspiring the students to take leadership and initiative and use their skills, not just in their school community, but in their churches and beyond. You'd notice the athletic staff and volunteers who are building into and developing student athletes, not just to compete well, but to compete with integrity. And this fall, we're actually having a bunch of our students competing at national and provincial levels in sports, and these students are taking the integrity that they're learning at West Park and taking them outside the building all across Canada and beyond. All of these amazing stories, it's the constant little, seemingly inconsequential conversations, though, that are my favorite. If you walk down the office hallway on, say, a random Wednesday afternoon, you'd pass by first and see Amanda, our counselor, and she would be talking with a student. Maybe she's talking with them about how to be a better friend, Or she's talking with them about how to cope with the stress of staying on the honor roll when everything seems really, really a lot. Or she's coping with them on how to work and live and excel and thrive and flourish in a tough home. Then you see Corey talking with a student about how to make it right with someone that they've hurt. And what you would hear is Corey telling the student how proud he is of them for being courageous and making it better, making the relationship and repairing it with this classmate or the teacher or whoever it is that they damaged it. You'd see Kirsten chatting with the teacher, working together to solve a problem. And when she does that with a teacher, her eyes light up, a smile comes across her face as she's working with her colleagues to solve a problem with schedule or curriculum or how to connect better with a student. It'd take a long time, actually, if I was to take you around the school and show you all the little things that happen day to day. Because the truth about West Park is every student is literally an answer to prayer. And every student is loved, and every student belongs. And then we want each student to know and love Jesus. That's the legacy of PAC through West Park. And so as we celebrate the end of this era, and we look forward from what's to come, I would just ask that as you think about these stories, these tiny little stories that all together make a really huge impact on our community and the world around us, that you join with the PAC staff and the West Park staff and continue to pray for the students and the staff in this, as we continue this legacy of belonging that were started by those number of women all those years ago. So it's exciting to see what God's doing, and we're excited to see where he's going to take West Park in the future. Okay, I totally forgot to dismiss the kids, so if you are in grades 1 to 6, you can go to the back. Your teachers are waiting for you. Thanks for being here. But at least you got to see the bumper video, so that's fun, hey? Today we're starting a new series on the book of Hebrews, and we're going to be walking through this book throughout the summer. You're going to notice a bunch of different people are going to come up and preach different places about it. We'd love for you to read along with us. So today we're going to talk about the beginning of the book of Hebrews. And as I was thinking about this a little bit, it's just beeping, Jed. As I was thinking about this, I was reminded of, and it'll connect, trust me, we're going to go on a little tangent. About a year ago, my family and I I was on sabbatical, and my family and I got a chance to take a trip to Europe. We were there for like a month. And after a few weeks of like going to one place and then staying for a couple of nights and going another place, we kind of got a little bit, we wanted to kind of be able to put down roots a little bit. So for the last week of our holiday, we went to London. That was where we were flying out of. And we stayed in this little apartment hotel and just lived in London. It was wonderful. And I don't know if you've ever had a holiday where you've been able to just kind of like live there for a little bit, whether it's in a cabin or it's in a different city. So we were in the Kensington area of London, which is kind of fun and funky. And it's right beside this massive park called Hyde Park. And if you walk through the park, you get to all the different cool places in London. And so every day we would get up, have a little breakfast, and then head out on our adventure to do the tourist things, whether it was grabbing the underground or the little subway that runs around London, or whether it was running through the park and going to a big museum. It might be shocking for you to realize that our family likes science museums, and there's a lot of them in London, so it was really fun to be able to go to those. But as we were there, then we would be done our day, and we would tiredly wander back to our little neighborhood and go down the high street. That's what Londoners call like a main street with shops on it. So we go to the high street, and we would pop into the little shops and buy groceries, and then head back to our apartment, cook our supper. And it was just this wonderful week of living in London and pretending we were living there. And there's a part of you when you're on a trip like that where you're like, wonder what it would really be like to live in London. This could be kind of fun. Yeah, I wonder how hard it would be to immigrate to London. It's nice at home, but this is kind of funky. And London needs pastors and London needs teachers, so Kevin and I could probably find jobs, So I wonder what this would be like. Probably couldn't afford to buy an apartment the size of the hotel we were staying in, but that's okay, you're in London. You kind of have this idea that you're living there. And as I was thinking about that, I was thinking, there's a lot of barriers to that. There's a lot of barriers to just picking up a family of 4 and moving overseas. As fun as it might be, there's a lot. And then I started thinking about the things that I'd have to give up and leave behind. I was like, well, there's family, and then there's community. I love this community. I love the community for my kids. I love the community for my husband. I love the community for myself. I like living in Portage. I like that we're pretty close to a city, but we don't have to be that far away. We don't have to have it if we don't want it. I like the 7-minute commute from one end of the city of Portage La Prairie to the other end? This is great. Enjoy that. It's a day and a half in London. So there's a lot of barriers, actually. And then I started thinking about this, and here is my question. How bad would life at home have to be in order to get rid of all those barriers? Because at some point, if I didn't feel safe, and that's the reality that some people have, right? You don't feel safe at home, and so all the barriers of moving to a different country, starting completely over, are actually not that big of a barrier, because what is there is way better than what's at home. And thankfully, I'm not in that situation, and so all of the things, it's no, actually, home is way better. Where I'm at is way better. But when you start to see those barriers come into play, and it's hard, and it gets harder, and it keeps being hard, what are we willing to compromise on in order for it to be easier, in order for it to be better when we don't feel safe? So if you've ever had those kinds of thoughts or ideas about things, you kind of can understand where the people in the book of Hebrews are at. They're not on holiday. They're not dreaming about living beside Hyde Park. But they're in a position where life is really hard. And they're worried about what does it look like if we compromise something that seems like a really little thing. What would it be if I just compromised this? My whole life would be easier. My whole life would be better. Here's the reality for them. They live in Rome. They're Jewish people. That's why it's called the book of Hebrews, because they're Hebrew people, which means they're from Jewish ancestry. And at some point in their lives, they came to faith in Jesus. They've seen Jesus as the Messiah prophesied about in the Old Testament. And so like us, they say, I want Jesus. And then life gets really hard. And the cost of their faith keeps getting higher and higher, and their capacity to handle the cost doesn't change. In fact, it kind of goes down. It kind of dwindles a little bit. It's harder and harder to say it's worth it to follow Jesus. And all they would really have to compromise on is the Jesus part of their faith. Here's why. In Rome, they're oppressed by the Roman government. They're kind of like a minority group of people, and the Roman government thinks that only Romans are cool and everybody else isn't. And so as Jewish people, they're kind of oppressed. But the Roman government is okay with Judaism. They kind of recognize that they're okay with it. So if you are not a Roman and you don't follow the Roman ways of the religion of worshiping the emperor, it's okay if you're Jewish. There's not a lot of ramifications. But if you're an atheist, you don't believe in all the Roman gods, and you're not Jewish, so that leaves the Christians in the term atheist at this point in time, you don't get business in your business. Your life isn't safe. You could go to jail. You could be hurt physically. Your family could be hurt. And so they're seeing their friends and their community members of these Hebrew Christians. They're seeing them go to jail. They're seeing them get persecuted. They're seeing really bad things happen to them. And there's this if I just gave up the Jesus part of my faith, Rome would leave me alone. And I'd be able to run my business. I'd be able to be safe. My kids would be safe on their way to school. All those things. Things would be better. Things would be safer. And then add this next part to it. Their family, who are still part of the Jewish faith, are saying, you're wrong. You shouldn't be following this Jesus guy. We're not inviting you to the family gatherings. We're not having anything to do with you because you're wrong. So they're not just losing their safety. They're not just losing their ways of making money. They're not just losing their businesses. They're losing their family too. And so as their life progresses in this way, they can't see a way out of it, and they just constantly are being asked to pay the cost of following Jesus. And at some point, some of them are saying, is it really that big of a sacrifice? Is it really that big? Because if I just changed this one thing, I'd be able to make money. I'd be able to have my business. I'd be able to have my family. I'd have a community. This is just asking too much. Jesus is asking too much of me. And so they're tempted to compromise on this one little thing, Jesus. They're just this one tiny little thing. They're exhausted. They're losing out. They're lonely. And that's who Hebrews is written to. And I think we can relate to them. And not just about like fun things like holidays and stuff like that of what would life be like. Because while we're probably not facing persecution, and we're definitely not facing the same persecution they did, but do you ever feel like pursuing faith is exhausting? Do you ever wonder what you'd be doing on a Sunday morning if you weren't here? Wouldn't it be easier? Wouldn't it be I'd have more time? And what would it really hurt to compromise just a little bit on our faith, on being faithful to Jesus? Like, you know, you go on social media and you see like people throwing insults at one another and selling their opinions. Wouldn't it just be easier to join them instead of being like, I should pray for people that I disagree with? Wouldn't it be easier to just kind of like double down and just be like, this is what I think and this is why you're all wrong, and just like disparage all the people that you see? Like, wouldn't that feel good for just a bit? To just like compromise that way? Or like, wouldn't you have more time if you didn't give so much time to church, so much energy to church or to faith? Wouldn't you have more money if you didn't have to like give money to the church? Give your first and your best to Jesus? And like, wouldn't your kid maybe make it to the NHL or to, I don't know, the NBA, or I'm going to start losing what I know about sports here in a second, so I'll just stop there. If you didn't have to give up Sunday morning practices in order for church, or you didn't have to give up things like that, like wouldn't life be better if we didn't have to give up things in order to follow Jesus? Here's what I love about this book, is that the author, as you read it, and I encourage you to read it with us over the summer, because we're going to do this till September. So it's like a chapter a week. But the author doesn't make you feel shamed for wondering that question. The author doesn't go, how dare you? You should know better. Do better. It doesn't, the author never shames these people or tells them off, because the author gets it. Following Jesus isn't always easy. And sometimes when you count the cost, it can seem like you give more than you receive. And the author gets that. And in some ways, the author's going to say later on in the book, in some ways, that's kind of the mark of a mature Christian, that we're not necessarily in it for what we get. And so when it feels like that, it's like, oh, this is God maturing me. This is the mark of a mature Christian. But the author doesn't say, so grow up, change it, anything like that. Here's what the author will do instead. And this is what you're going to find as we walk through it, as you read through it. Here's what the author does instead of telling you off or shaming you for your exhaustion. Throughout the whole book, the author is going to build a really thoughtful, really beautiful and thorough and careful and compassionate case for you. They're going to refer to the Old Testament at every time they can with this just one thought. The thought is, Jesus is better. That's what the whole book of Hebrews is really about. is Jesus is better. Jesus is better than getting the digs in online on arguments. Jesus is better than having as much me time as you could possibly want. Jesus is better than having all the money in the world, and Jesus is better than being a professional athlete or famous or all those things. You see, the author never needs to shame the readers of Hebrews to say, do better, because the author's argument is Jesus is better. You don't have to do better. You just have to recognize that Jesus is better. And then as you walk through this book, you're going to notice and you're going to see that as they make this case, that this really, what seems like to the Hebrews, it seems like a really small compromise. It seems like just a little thing, like just a little bit of a tweak, and my life could be so much better. It's actually not neutral at all. It's not a neutral thing to compromise. And they're going to give us warnings about that as we go through. They're going to make it uncomfortable. These warnings are going to be uncomfortable as we read them. And they might be a little bit off-putting as we read them. But they're designed to make us uncomfortable. And they're designed to make us squirm just a little bit, because it's important what the author is saying. And notice as we get to them, and it's going to be a couple weeks before we do, but when we get to them, what you're going to notice is that they are given within the context of who Jesus is. So you're going to talk about Jesus, we're going to be encouraged to do things, and then we're going to see these warnings. And the warnings that we see it's a really kind thing that the author is doing, actually. Because the author is giving us clarity and not hinting and not going, well, you might want to be careful because it might not be a great idea if you compromise. They're going to say exactly why it's important not to compromise. And we're going to see a pattern emerge too. So what we're going to notice as you read through this book is you're going to get Jesus is better than something. There's going to be 4 different things that the author says Jesus is better than. And then the author is going to give us a warning. If we don't see that Jesus is better than that, this is the consequences of our actions or of that compromise. That happens 4 times. So you'll see Jesus is better than this and a warning about it. Jesus is better than that and a warning about it. Jesus is better throughout the book. And then at the end of this pattern, what you're going to notice is that we get this description of the Faith Hall of Fame, where the author it reminds us that God didn't abandon these people all the way from the beginning of Abraham up until the current time when they're writing the book. And the idea there is that God didn't abandon them when they didn't compromise. And so God won't abandon us. And so we can walk through because Jesus is better. So that's what's in store for us for the whole book. And the first few verses of the book actually kind of set this up really well. So I want to look at the first couple I keep saying chapters, first couple verses. We're not going to do chapters. Here's how the book starts. And I love the language here. It's such beautiful language in here, the way that the author puts it. So this is what they say. Long ago, God spoke many times and in many ways to our ancestors through the prophets. And now in these final days, he has spoken to us through his Son. As soon as you see that, long ago, God spoke many times and in many ways, it kind of evokes this idea of the Old Testament and these grand stories of Scripture, where you start with God creating the vastness of the universe and the familiarity of humans. Then you see the fall, where people rebel against God because they think they want to know better than God, and they don't trust that God has the best for them. And that moves us into the stories of the call to Abraham to bless the nations, Moses to free the Israelites. We go through the stories of King David, writing poetry about the goodness of God. And we get to prophecies that the exile is coming, but God isn't abandoning his people and the Messiah is on his way. Those are the kind of things that this many times and in many ways God spoke to people. Different ways, through poetry, through prophecies, through stories. God spoke through dreams, conversations, through this long line of voices. But the author is saying in these final days, he's spoken to us through his Son. And here's the key about this verse, is that Jesus isn't just joining in all of these voices and adding his voice to them, but actually, Jesus is louder. He's the one voice that all the other voices are pointing to, this Messiah. So Jesus' voice rings louder because he's spoken in many ways to ancestors and prophets, but today he's spoken to us through his Son, a louder voice, but the voice that the prophecies and ancestors have been leading towards. So Jesus isn't a little compromise here. Jesus is better. Then it says, God promised everything to the Son as an inheritance. Through the Son, he created the universe. Sorry, I don't want to cough in my mic. The Son radiates God's own glory and expresses the very character of God. And he sustains everything by the mighty power of his command. The word choice here is actually really significant. If you look at it in the original language that the author would use, this idea, the very character of God, is actually like an imprint. So the picture here for us is that if you think about like a king that has a ring that has the seal of the king on it, and they imprint that into a wax seal to say, I'm sealing this, I am signing this with the authority of the kingdom, that is what Jesus is in relation to God. And if you ever think about that, like a stamp or an imprint, something like that, it looks exactly like the thing that you're stamping. If there's a flaw in the stamp, there's a flaw in the imprint. That's the picture here. So the Son radiates God's own glory and expresses the very character. Exact representation is another way that other people have translated that part. So I think if we were living if the author of Hebrews was living in the computer age, they would have said something like copy paste. If you've seen God, you've seen the Father, copy and paste. In John 16, it says this, if you've seen him, you've seen God. That's what Jesus himself says. So it's the same idea. And another way to understand that is simply Jesus shows us what God looks like. Jesus shows us God. He reveals God. He shows us what God looks like. Moving to the next part of verse 3. When he had cleansed us from our sins, he sat down in the place of honor at the right hand of the majestic God in heaven. And here the author is reminding the readers that Jesus is not a passive way to understand God, but that he did everything needed to deal with sin through his work on the cross, and he's now reigning with the Father. So Jesus isn't passive, he's actively bringing us to God. And he's bigger than our sins. He's bigger than the hard things. And then in verse 4, you see here, it says that this shows that the Son is far greater than the angels, just as the name God gave him is greater than their names. Notice here that that the author is saying Jesus is better. You notice that? He's far greater than the angels. Jesus is better. He's better than all the voices that came before him in the Old Testament. He's better than anyone or anything because he's God. He's better or bigger than any powers that could enslave you. Jesus is better than any other heavenly beings like angels, the greatest thing you can think of. Jesus is better than the angels and the voices of the Old Testament. And what I think is important to understand when we say that is it doesn't diminish the greatness and the power of the voices of the Old Testament to say Jesus is greater. It makes Jesus greater. And when we talk about the cleansing that's needed for sin, when we say that Jesus is greater than that or Jesus is better than that, it doesn't diminish the difficult things that we go through. It doesn't diminish the power of evil and sin. It just says Jesus is greater than that. So there's big things in our lives, and there's good things in our lives, and there's hard things in our lives. But the truth from this passage is simply that Jesus is better. He's more powerful, and he reigns because of his power. He reigns above all things. So the violence these people are facing, Jesus is bigger than their fear. The uncertainty about their future, Jesus is better than the need for being comfortable. The questions of if they're going to have enough, Jesus is better than having it all. This is the message that the author of Hebrews is giving us. And I think it's the same for us today. The amazing things in your life right now, Jesus is better. The things that could be all-consuming, that could take the place of him, Jesus is better. Those things that are hard, the things that you can't find a good solution, you can't see it through, Jesus is bigger. He's better than that too. This is one of the things that is really interesting about this book. And I don't know if you've caught that I haven't been really hard to not say anything about the author here. I've been saying they and the author. I haven't said him or her. And this is actually intentional. And here's why. Because there's a lot of mysteries about the book of Hebrews. A lot. We don't know who wrote it. There's some theories, but we don't know. We know nothing about the author. We don't know where they lived. We know they were associated with the early church. We don't know their name. We don't even know if it was a man or a woman. Some of the theories we have is it could have been some of the female leaders that Paul talks about for the early church. And others, people think that it was some of the male leaders, so we don't know. So that's why I haven't said the author he, because we don't know. It could have been the author she. But that's okay, actually, because out of all the things we know about the author of Hebrews, we do know the most important thing. The absolute most important thing, and you're going to be reminded of this the whole book. And at the risk of spoiling the ending for you, which isn't really a thing, but here's what the author says near the very end of the book. They say, fixing our eyes on Jesus, the pioneer and perfecter of our faith. This is the encouragement that the author gives us. And they do it again and again throughout the book. And this is the challenge for us. Because out of all the things that we don't know about the author, we do know that the author's eyes are fixed on Jesus. Their eyes are not fixed on the things that are hard. Their eyes are not fixed on the things that are good. They're not fixed on the things that are devastating, that seem to have no solution for. But they're also not fixed on the amazing, miraculous things that are happening around them. The encouragement and the challenge of the book of Hebrews is to fix our eyes on Jesus and to say, of all the good things, Jesus is better. Of all the hard things, Jesus is bigger. Because Jesus is simply better. And I think there's a few ways for us to respond to this. And it depends on where you're at this morning. Maybe there's some really wonderful and exciting and good things in your life right now. But if you're honest, if you fix your eyes on those really good and wonderful things that are happening in your life, they do have the potential to take over. And maybe the call that God has for you this morning is to put them in the proper order, to fix your eyes on Jesus, and to be thankful for these great things, but to say Jesus is actually better than the best thing I can imagine. Maybe, though, there's something really tough happening in your life, and it's hard to see past it. Maybe this is the biggest thing because it's a daunting problem, and you don't know of a bit of a solution, and you can't see your way through it. And for us this morning who are there, we fix our eyes on Jesus, and we remind ourselves that Jesus is bigger than this problem, that he did everything that was necessary to cleanse us from sin. He's bigger, and he'll see us in it and through it. In a couple of minutes, we're going to stand and we're going to sing a song, and we're going to talk about how Jesus reigns above it all. I want you to pay attention to the it. What does Jesus reign above? What's the it in the it all for you? Is it the stuff that's easy to get us distracted? that these great things that are happening, things that are exciting, Jesus is better than those exciting things. And so as we sing the song, You Reign Above It All, and we say that, let's remind ourselves and give those great big things, those really amazing things, those great miraculous things to Jesus and say, even then, you're better. Or is the it that Jesus reigns above for you this morning, is it the hard things? Is it the things you can't see your way through? Is it those things that seem to have no solution and they get bigger and bigger and bigger? Then for us this morning, as we sing You Reign Above It All, let's remind ourselves that Jesus is bigger than those really big things, that Jesus is going to see us in it and he's going to see us through it because he's bigger. And so as we stand to sing, so you can stand with us, let's sing this and declare and give these big things, good and bad, to Jesus because he is better.
The reign of darkness now is ended in the kingdom of light, in the kingdom of light. Forever under your dominion, you're the king of my life, you're the king of my life. You reign above it all, you reign above it all, over the universe and over every heart. There is no higher name. Jesus, you reign above it all. On the cross the work was finished. Now you poured out your life just to give us new life. Now from the lips of the forgiven, hear an anthem arise, 'cause Jesus, you're alive. Oh, you reign above it all, you reign above it all, over the universe and over every heart. There is no higher name. Jesus, you reign above it all. So let all of heaven and the earth erupt in song and sing hallelujah to the everlasting one. There is no higher name. Jesus, you reign above it all. You reign above it all. You sent the darkness running out of an empty grave, now seated alone in glory, enthroned on the highest praise. 'Cause you sent the darkness running out of an empty grave, now seated alone in glory, enthroned on the highest praise. 'Cause you sent the darkness running, oh, out of an empty grave, now seated alone in glory, enthroned on the highest praise. Yes, you sent the darkness running out of the empty grave, now seated alone in glory, enthroned on the highest praise. 'Cause you sent the darkness running out of an empty grave, now seated alone in glory, enthroned on the highest praise. Yes, you sent the darkness running out of an empty grave, now seated alone in glory, enthroned on the highest praise. You Sing it out. 'Cause you reign above it all, you reign above it all, over the universe and every single heart. There is no higher name. Jesus, you reign above it all. So let all of heaven and the earth erupt in song and sing hallelujah to the everlasting one. There is no higher name. Jesus, you reign above it all.
I love that word picture. Yeah, it's on. I love that word picture. Do you ever look outside and see the vastness of the universe? All the stars and the black sky. It goes on forever. Jesus reigns above that. And then the song goes and over every heart. If you make a fist, that's the size of your heart. So Jesus reigns above the very vast and the very small. He reigns over all of those things. And so as you were singing, did you get an accept in your head? Accept this? Or but what about that? Yeah, Jesus cares about the universe. He cares about the vastness of the universe. He cares about every heart except for this one thing that's really big, that's in front of me, that's really hard. And I don't know if Jesus reigns above that. If this morning there's an accept in your head when you say that, accept this thing that comes to mind, or about what about, I really encourage you to come up for prayer. The prayer team is going to come forward and they would love to pray with you. But also, if as you were singing, you're struggling to fix your eyes on Jesus because of the things around you, and you know in your head that Jesus reigns above the big things that are hard and the big things that are good, and you want to fix your eyes on Jesus, this is where community and prayer comes in handy. So they're here to pray with you for that too. I want to see Jesus. I want to fix my eyes on Jesus. I don't want to focus on the things that distract me from him, because I don't want to make the compromise that the author of Hebrews is warning us about. They would love to pray for you for that too. And then a final thing. Read the book of Hebrews with us this summer. There's like 13 chapters. We got about 13 weeks to get us to September. And so if you do a chapter a week, you'll pretty much be on track with us. And Hebrews is one of those things that seems tucked in the back to me. Like, you have really great intentions in January, you're going to read through the whole New Testament, and by the time you get to like Paul's letter to somebody, you've kind of stopped, and then you never make it to Hebrews. So in order to find Hebrews, you got to get all the way through all of Paul's letters, and then it's just tucked in there at the back. Find it and read through it, a chapter a week, and see how the author of Hebrews is helping you to fix your eyes on Jesus through this season with us as we walk through this as a church. So I really encourage you to do that, but please do come for prayer. Let me bless you as you go. May you go with the joy of the Trinity swirling around you, sustained by beauty, carried by song, and laughing with the roar of heaven until the day when Christ returns and the real party starts. For no eye has seen, no ear has heard, and no heart has come close to imagining what God has prepared for those who love him. Come, Lord Jesus.